Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zara and today I am going to be listing some books that are releasing in 2024 that I will be keeping an eye out on. I don't typically scour ahead for new releases or anything like that, but there are quite a few books coming out next year that I'm actually really looking forward to. Some of these are books that are continuation of series. Some of these are authors that are completely new to me. Some of these are authors that I know of, but I've just not read any of their backlist. So there's going to be a little bit of a mixture here. Without a doubt, there's probably some books that I've missed on this list, but we have a list here of books that I compiled over the last few weeks of books that I'm very, very keen to read once they release next year. So let's jump in. The first book on my list is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I own two of Robert Jackson Bennett's series. I own Foundryside, and then there's also City of Stairs, and I'm very excited to read both of them. It's just, I'm one of those people, I don't like to have tons of series on the go, so I think this is a series that I'm probably going to actually start reading before I've even read any of his other series, just because it's going to be one book that's out. So I'm going to just read the summary of the book on Goodreads, and I will also let you know when it comes out after I've read the summary. So the summary is, in Daritana's most opulent mansion, a high imperial officer lies dead, killed to all appearances when a tree spontaneously erupted from his body. Even in this canton at the borders of the empire, where contagions abound and the blood of the leviathans works strange magical changes, it's a death at once terrifying and impossible. Called in to investigate this mystery is Anna de Labra, an investigator whose reputation for brilliance is matched only by her eccentricities. That's all I'm going to say. The summary is really long, but I think that's going to give enough of a flavour of what this book is about. And this book is expected to be published on February 6th, 2024. I really, really can't wait to read this because I know for a fact that I'm really going to love Jackson Bennett's writing style. It's just a matter of the fact that he's had entire series complete, and now I get a chance to read this one from the start. Next up, and I just realized these aren't actually in publication order, apologies for that, but if there's any that you like, then add them to your Goodreads list. The next one is Earthflown by Francis Wren. Summary is, when Ethan saves the life of a fire starter, it's nothing unusual. He's the only healer on call in the hospital, and that gunshot wound isn't going to regenerate itself. But his patient turns out to be Corinna Arden, heiress to a pharmaceutical empire controlling Britain's water supply. Her twin, Javier, is a man who A, starts sending Ethan flowers at work, B, seems terrified of his secret, and C, has the cheekbones and earnestness to make up for both. Ethan indulges in what he thinks will be a brief and harmless romance, but quickly finds himself knee-deep in a conspiracy involving murder, a drug cartel, and a bid for the lucrative reconstruction tender, Project Earthflown. So this is like a sci-fi dystopian kind of vibe. I didn't actually realise there was romance in this until I read the summary, but it's not going to put me off it. I'm still very much intrigued. This one comes out on March 25th, and this is also an adult sci-fi book, by the way, just in case anybody was wondering. Next up, we have The Dead Cat Tail Assassins by P. Djeli Clark. I've read one of P. Djeli Clark's short stories and I really liked it. I do want to read all of his other books. I actually own them. It's just a matter of when. But this one I'm really curious about. So let me read the summary. The Dead Cat Tail Assassins are not cats, nor do they have tails, but they are most assuredly dead. Even the eviscerator is skilled, discreet, professional, and here for your most pressing needs in the ancient city of Tal Abisi. Her guild is strong, her blades are sharp, and her rules are simple. Those sworn to the matron of assassins, resurrected deadly, wiped out of their memories, have only 3 unbreakable vows. First, the contract must be just. That's above Evine's pay grade. Second, even the most powerful assassin may only kill the contracted. Evine's a professional. She's never missed her mark. The third, and once you accept a job, you must carry it out. And if you stray, a final death would be a mercy. When the festival of the Clockwork King turns the city upside down, Evine's newest mission brings her face to face with a past she isn't supposed to remember and a vow she can't forget. I'm not the biggest fan of like assassin stories. I feel like it's one of the most overdone tropes or character types or whatever you want to call it in fantasy, but I have to say I do really like the sound of this one. This is also only a novella, so it's not going to be a long one, and it will be published April 23rd as well. All right, Next one, we have the second book in the Library Trilogy by Mark Lawrence. The first book was The Book That Wouldn't Burn. The second book is The Book That Broke the World. Now, I was umming and ahhing about whether I was going to read this book, but I probably will because I am very curious as to where this trilogy is going to go. I'm not going to read the plot summary because often they have spoilers in them. But if you have read the first book, then this is for you to know that the second book is coming out next year. And the expected publication date is April 9th. Next, we have a book that I don't know if I'm going to read, and this is also a book in an already existing series, and that is the Rising Saga by Pierce Brown. The book is book number 7, and it is called Red God. So I tried to read book 6 earlier this year, and I just hated it. I really did not like it. I think the writing was really bad, and I just thought it was so boring. I thought the characters were just so drab. I read a summary of what happens at the end of it, and to be honest with you, I'm not even curious, but I might read it with a friend if I so feel like it at that point in time. It does come out on January 1st, so straight into the new year. I probably won't read it at the start of the year, but if I feel like I'm in a bit of a lull at some point next year, I might pick it up just to see what happens. Next up, we have the third book in a trilogy that I haven't read yet, but I am going to read next year now, knowing that this book is coming out early next year. And that is the Empire of the Wolf series, and the third book is coming out, and it's called The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. I've been dying to read this trilogy for a very long time, since the first book got announced like years ago, but I wanted to wait for the entire series to be over so I could binge it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do next year. I'm not going to read the summary again just because I don't want to accidentally spoil what's happened in the previous books, but this one is also coming out on February 6th. So we have a very busy early next year. Next, we have The Fall of Rebel Angels by Zoraida Cordova. Zoraida Cordova is an author that I've heard quite a lot about. She wrote a book, I think it was called like the Black Carnates series or something like that, and the covers of those books are absolutely stunning. It's a series that I'd still really like to read, but it is 4 books, and that's too big of a commitment for me these days. But I saw this one that she's releasing next year, and there isn't much of a summary, but from what I can tell, it's about angels, and I think there is some paranormal aspect to it, and I do believe it's based in Spain. I could be wrong though. But this one is set to be published on January the 1st, 2024. All right, we've got a few more left. Next one is Feybound, which is the first book in a new series by Sara Al-Arifi. She is an author that I've been wanting to try for a while. Her other series is a series that I did start reading, but for no fault of the book or the author, I couldn't get into it. It was just my mood at the time. But I'm still waiting for a book that writes about Fae in a good, compelling way. Fae is such an overdone concept in fantasy, but I'm just still waiting for somebody to do it well, because without a doubt, somebody will eventually do it well. And I'm just curious whether it's going to be Sara Al-Arifi. So let me read a summary. Divided by blood, imprisoned by fate, bound by desire, welcome to the intoxicating world of the Fae. Yeren is a warrior in the Elven army and has known nothing but violence her whole life. Her sister Lettel is trying to make a living as a diviner, seeking prophecies of a better future. When a fatal mistake leads to Yeren's exile from the Elven lands, they are both forced into the terrifying wilderness beyond their borders. There they encounter the impossible, the Fae court. The Fae hasn't been seen for a millennium, but now Yeren and Lettel are thrust into their seductive world, torn between their loyalty to each other, their elven homeland, and their hearts. Quite like the sound of it. I think it could be quite good. And that one is coming out January the 18th. All right. Next up, we have the second book in a series that I've been really enjoying so far, and I cannot wait to read this book. I saw physical arcs of this book go out recently, and honestly, it made me sad that I didn't get one. Not even the physical ones, because I know they're super limited edition, but like an e-arc, like it killed me, because I love the first book so much. And that is the second book in the Empire of the Vampire series, with the book being called Empire of the Damned by J. Christoph. I'm not going to read the plot because I don't want to spoil myself by accident, but I have been dying for this book to come out ever since I finished it last year. I think about it quite a lot, very curious about where it's going to go. and it's coming out February 29th, so not long to go now at all. Man, I can't wait. Seriously, can't wait. All right. Another one that I really can't wait, and there is no indicator of the publication date yet, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be coming out next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Q4 of next year, and that is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I suspect we'll probably get some news over the coming months about when this book is going to be released, but man, I cannot wait. We still don't really know much about the plot. There have been some ummings and ahhings on the internet, but I'm just going to wait for the man himself to tell us what it's going to be about when he's ready to. But man, I can't wait. Can't wait. Next up, we have The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bond. This has a dragon on the cover, and I love a good dragon. I've been reading some dragon fantasy recently, and it's all been abysmal, and I'm just waiting for the day where I read dragon fantasy that I love. The best person who has done it to this day is Ursula K. Le Guin in the third Earthsea cycle book. Absolutely perfect portrayal of dragons in that book, and I'm just waiting for somebody to do it right. Or somebody else to do it right, I should say. But this one, I think there is a strong romance element to this book, which I'm fine with. I'm still looking for a good romance fantasy book, because boy, are we really scraping the barrel these days. But let me read a quick summary. Kill the dragon, find the blade, reclaim your honour. It's that will end up like countless knights before her as a puddle of gore and molten armour. Madilla is a knight. There aren't many women in her line of work, and it often feels like the sneering and contempt from her peers is harder to stomach than the actual dragon slave. But she's a knight and made of sterner stuff. A minor infraction forces her to redeem her honour in the most dramatic way possible. She must retrieve the fabled Fireborn Blade from its keeper, legendary dragon to the White Lady, or die trying. If history tells us anything, it's that die trying is where to wager your coin. Madeline's tale contains a rich history of dragons, ill-fated knights, scheming squires, and sapphic love, with deceptions and double crosses that will keep you guessing right up to its dramatic conclusion. Ultimately, the Fireborn Blade is about the roles we've refused to accept and of the place we make for ourselves in the world. Sounds a bit cheesy, I'm not going to lie, but I think it could be a good read to read some in between some heavier stuff. And that one is coming out, oops, I just closed it, give me 1 second. That one's coming out May 28th. Next up, we have The Dragon Rider by Taryn Matharu. And that is the first book in a new series by this author called The Soulbound Saga. I had one of Matharu's, I don't know if I'm saying their name right, I'm so sorry if I'm not. I had one of his previous series, his YA series, but I never actually read it, and I ended up offloading it to somebody else because at that point I was just not into YA, and I haven't gone back into YA in a very long time. But this is very much adult fiction, fantasy fiction, and I think it's his debut adult fantasy fiction, so I'm really curious to see how he does it. It's got dragons in it, like I said earlier, so I'm very curious about this one. And this one is publishing on April 2nd. All right, next we have the third book in the Crescent City series, and that is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This is coming out on January the 30th. And I'm still debating whether I'm going to read this book, just because I said in one of my previous videos that I just think this author is a terrible writer now. She's literally getting worse book to book, and I just don't like that. Like, I like seeing authors get better, and I like seeing them hit their stride, and Sarah J. Maas seems to have done the complete opposite of that. So I don't know if I'm going to read it. What I suspect will happen is somebody will buy it for me, and then I will be forced to read it. And that is being published on January the 30th. Next up, and we've got 3 more after this, we have The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. Now, Jen Lyons is an author that I've known about for a while. She has another quartet that she did. I forgot the name of the quartet, but it's a series that I would really like to get to. I've heard it's very political in nature, and I've just heard really, really good things about her writing in that series. I think it's called the Chorus of Dragon series. This is a new book that she has written that is a standalone. I think it might be set in the same world, but there is no kind of direct connection between the world. And again, this one's about dragons. You can see there's a common theme in this video. So let me read a quick summary. Anna Rod lives only for survival, preferring to thrive in the jungles of the deep, with the Titan Drake she keeps by her side. When an adventuring party saves her from capture by the local warlord Sicarian, she's eager to return to her solitary life. But this is no ordinary rescue. Anna Rod's past has caught up with her, and these cunning misfits intend to spirit her away to the Cloud Cities, where they need her help to steal from a dragon's horde. There's only one in the Cloud Cities. Dragons rule, and the horde in question belongs to the current regent, Neveranimus. and she wants Anaron dead. It sounds fun. It's being published on July 9th, so it could be a fun summer read. This next one is one that I'm really excited to read because I saw the cover and I could just tell that this was a vibe that I was going to really like. And this is a new series called the Last Legacy series, and the first book is The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan. I'm really, really, really excited to read this. I actually requested an arc on NetGalley, so I really hope I get approved for that, because if I do, I'm going to read it probably over Christmas. But the vibe just sounds great, and I do think it is grimdark as well. And it is obviously very much adult fantasy as well. So here's the summary. Set in a city of traders and thieves, monsters and murderers, this fast-paced epic fantasy debut is a must-read for fans of Joe Abercrombie, Nicholas Ames and Scott Lynch. Lucan Gardova is a card-sharp academy dropout, and thanks to a duel that ended badly, the disgraced heir to an ancient noble house. His days consist of cheap wine, rigged card games, and wondering how he might win back the life he threw away. When he discovers his estranged father has been murdered in strange circumstances, he finds fresh purpose. Deprived of his chance to make amends for his mistakes, he vows to unravel the mystery behind his father's death. His search for answers leads him to Safrona, fabled city of merchant princes. Oh, I love merchants. Like, I love the merchant character type, where anything can be bought if one has the coin. Lucan only seeks the truth, but instead he finds danger and secrets in every shadow. For in Safrona, everything has a price, and the price of truth is the deadliest of all. This sounds amazing, and I just cannot wait. And it's being published April 25th. All right, we have two more left. This next one is called Ocean's Gori. This is a standalone, I believe, and the author is Elaine Cho. And I think this is a sci-fi book, and I think there's romance elements to it. So let me read the summary. Ocean Yoon has never felt like much of a Korean, even if she is descended from a long line of Hanyo, Jeju Island's beloved female divers. She's also persona non grata at the Alliance, Korea's solar system dominating space agency, since her mission went awry and she earned a reputation for being a little bit too quick with her gun. Nice. It's being released April 23rd. Next up, we have Lost Ark Dreaming, and that is by Suyi Davis Okongbowa. So sorry if I butchered that, which I totally did. This is an African-inspired fantasy dystopian book that I'm really excited to get to. So here is the summary. The brutally engineered class divisions of Snowpiercer meets Rivers Solomon the Deep in this high-octane post-climate disaster novella written by Suyi Davis Okongbowa. Off the coast of West Africa, decades after the dangerous rise of the Atlantic Ocean, the region's survivors live inside 5 partially submerged kilometers-high towers, originally created as a playground for the wealthy. Now the tower's most affluent rule from their lofty perch at the top, while the rest are crammed into the dark, fetid floors below sea level. 3 lives within the towers are pulled to the fore of this: Yakini, an earnest mid-levy rookie analyst; Tuyo, an undersea mechanic; and Ngozi, an egotistical bureaucrat. They will need to work together if there is to be any hope of a future that is worth living for everybody. I really like the sound of that, and that is coming out May 21st. So there we have it. Those are some of the books that I'm really looking forward to that are being released next year. Most of them are being released in the first half of the year. I think the only one that isn't likely is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, because I just have a feeling that's going to be in the second half of the year. I could be wrong though, it might come out earlier than that. I will probably do another video like this, but talking more about the second half of next year, because I think we're too far out to be able to do that accurately right now. Let me know if there are any books that you are looking forward to coming out next year. There are some books that I missed off this list just because I haven't read the first book, so that's why it's probably not on this list. But do let me know down below if there's any key ones that I'm missing. Thanks for watching, folks. Please give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.